Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continue readings from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, Text 4. I guess I'll just read it since, oh, you got it? All right. Na karma manaramban Nais karmyam purusho snute Na chachan sanyasanad eva Eva siddhyam samaragacchati. Na, not karmanam, of prescribed duties. Anarambat, by non-performance. Nice karmyam, freedom from reaction. Purusha, a man. Asnute, achieves. Na, nor. Cha, also. Sannyasana, by renunciation. Eva, simply. Siddhim, success. Samadhigacchati, attains. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Please repeat if you wish. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Purport. The renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of his prescribed form of duties, which are laid down just to purify the hearts of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyas. According to the empirical philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayan. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. Bhakti-yoga. Sviyalpam pyasya dharmasya traite mahato bhayat. Even a slight performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulties. Om Gyante Manandasya Jananjana Shalakya Chaksun Minitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamyam Dadati Svabaranagam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadgora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation repeated. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So, if it would be alright with you all, I'd like to start the beginning of this, whatever you want to call it, discussion on a sample from my life. Kind of, when I read this, I thought it's funny that I've been asked to give this class. You know, when I was growing up, you know, without much knowledge, you think, okay, I'm going to enjoy here. We got one life to live. That's how they teach it in America. Okay, let's max out the enjoyment. So my daddy made a fair amount of bucks. He sends all of his kids to really good schools, MIT and all these ones. So, but I like sports, so I had the choice to go to private schools where they don't have good sports, or go the sport route and not get that good of an education. So like a fool I was, I didn't have that big of a body. Back then it was big in comparison to others though. And so I chose the sport route. And then I smashed my foot so bad when I was 15 or 16. And it still hurts today, and definitely sports career is finished. And I'm already 16, and I didn't go the other route to make it into these super good schools. So I don't know, some reason I wasn't upset. I just went, all right, well now how do I max out the enjoyment? Or the whatever, the success in life, what I perceived as the success in life back then, with no Bhagavad-Gita learning in America, none of that back then, for me at least. So I thought, okay, no problem. This is actually a good thing. I recognize it as a good thing, because now I won't get caught in that trap of thinking that this all will make me happy. I'm going to adjust my way of developing real success by not being dependent on external things. So I thought, okay, it's about a state of consciousness. If I can have a state of consciousness where I'm happy, not being dependent on external factors, like I'm happy because I hit the home run, or I made it through MIT and now I got a 6-figure income, now I'm happy. No, I would be happy always, how about? So I started to try to figure out how to do that. So I became basically a jnani. I recognized, and then you know, at 16 you expected to get a job or whatever, fend for yourself. And I thought, I just kind of glanced at the situation, and if all material action leads to suffering, getting a job and getting caught up in all that, family, all that stuff, it just, obviously these people aren't happy, and it's not going to make me happy. It's a lot of work. And so I thought, let me just sit here and not move. And I'll just pass stool right here. And, and my parents are going to kick me out probably in a couple weeks. No problem. It's the country. They'll just move me over to a tree over there. All right. Hopefully they won't put me in mental hospital, all right, let's give it a try. I was really serious about it. I seriously considered it. We see, Rishabhadev following the same principle. Not that I'm an avatar or anything, that's for darn sure. But, I really seriously considered it. But I thought, that's a little wild. Let me consider other things. So basically I became like a jnani, trying to figure out how do we attain this higher state. But I had no books, did no internet back then. You can't just look up how do I attain a higher state. You go to the library. Libraries, America back then, you just had the classics, but not much on anything else. So, at least that was my experience with limited endeavor. So, and trying to figure it out, I realized I got to get to this higher state that's independent of action, material action. But I never was successful because the mind and senses I couldn't control. So the senses would kick in and demand. So, and I didn't have a higher taste, as all this leads to the conclusion that one has to take to Krishna consciousness in order to have success. And we all know that from so many different examples, like Sabari Muni underwater for so many years, Ravindaksha, what's that? Ye Ravindaksha. You know that one? Okay. Basically, Brahma, I believe, is telling people, that, they seem like they may be liberated, but actually they are not. And why? Because they don't have any affection for your lotus feet, Krishna. So Sabari Muni, without affection for the lotus feet of Krishna, saw the 2 fish doing their thing. And then he goes and marries 100 wives? How many?
50 daughters of Manda.
Okay. 50, sorry. 50 wives, And that's pretty much what happened to me. I didn't get married, thank God. But, a certain type of pile of pustule and urine, jiva soul, and that kind of body walked by, and I was kind of gone for 2 years. And then, after 2 years of being gone and getting disgusted with that, I got a little higher with knowledge. My roommate went to a Buddhist monastery, came back, and was trying to kind of like train me up. And I wanted to continue this inquiry into the absolute truth and find a solution to the problems and miseries of life. I was very much inclined in that way. And so he taught me something that, let's go, was sunyavad, right? Voidist, annihilation of the self is the solution. And, you know, I thought that was a possible solution. I tried something like that earlier, but without any knowledge. And he had knowledge from all the great masters that apparently have attained some state. And if you read their books, at least back then, it made no sense to me whatsoever. And a little bit of background with the Buddhist structure is Buddha, according to H.D. Goswami, Buddha gave lectures. He didn't say there is no soul, or there is no God. When they asked him, is there a soul, is there a God, he didn't say anything. So the followers decided, okay, he's meaning that there is no God, no soul. So that they kind of went with that. But we see that this voidist mentality, it only comprises of a very tiny fraction within the Buddhist ideas today. So we see that didn't really, and the vast, vast majority are living entities wanting action. In other words, they have a structure to go to heaven, and this kind of thing today. So we can just imagine if I'm giving class and I just sat here with a white background in the back, and that's it, and I didn't do anything or say anything, you know, maybe a new student would go, wow, this is pretty profound, for about 7 minutes, and then leave. And all the other people who've been around a while will just leave. Or if you open up the deity curtain and there's just gray walls and nothing in there, wow, and people just sitting there for hours. You know? No, well, people will be bored, they won't want to come back. So people are more inclined for variety, for action, instead of this voidist mentality. But they did give me mantras to practice and meditation techniques and things like this, and I applied them. And within some of the mantras was the word Om. So I made some progress by chanting Om. And I did have some experiences, that's for sure, but it was impractical because I didn't know how to continue, because it would fade away, and then I'm back in my regular consciousness. So, and then that leading to another one of these pile of earth, pus, and urine and stool, jiva soul covered with all that, walked by again, and I'm gone for about 2 more years until I'm finally disgusted. And then I leave, and finally I can ask the question, or I always could have, but I asked the question, what do I really want? And I said, I want to fall in love. You know, I went to school, did that for my parents, but what do I want? So I said, I want to fall in love. I didn't know what that meant, but I figured this love state is kind of the highest thing I could think of back then without really any knowledge much at all, is the closest thing to what I'm looking for. And that led to me living alone without any influence, living a very simple life. And I started juicing. I knew I needed to purify this body and the mind. Started fasting quite a bit and juicing. And I had an out-of-body experience. And then I realized I'm not this body. Oh my God. If I'm not this body, then what the heck am I? So that led to me running into meeting somebody who gave me some guidance to go to this one place, City Yoga Retreat, and there was a guru there that it was the day of their initiation ceremony, and you're supposed to be applying it for at least 2 years of practices before getting initiated, and I just showed up and they initiated me. So there I am, initiated by a City Yoga master. And we started applying the concept of selfless service. Not necessarily perfect bhakti-yoga, but worshipping Shiva and definitely chanting different names of God. We would chant Hare Krishna and so many of these things. But the concept of service was there. And by rendering selfless service, not purely selfless service, all directed to Krishna, but giving up the fruits of your labor, or actually I didn't have any fruits of labor, but giving my time it's for a good cause. We fed people, we did many things like this. And then gradually elevating that higher to then joining the Sikh ashram, which definitely has a concept of God in it, and engaging in devotion, what they call seva there. And I realized at some point in doing all this, I was sweeping the temple floor and just thinking like this, I'm really now becoming happy. And I thought, if I can just get in a place where this energy flow, I don't inhibit, and I'm just an instrument to help whatever, the world is the way I saw it, or just be an instrument for peace and love, that without any selfish thing involved, that will give me the ultimate happiness. And that very night, I remember going to my room there, and I realized after all this, purification, I got to this point where I realized, oh my God, I'm in a dark world. I'm actually in a dark universe. This universe is a dark place. There's no light here. It's a prison. And I remember this verse in the Bible that said, knock and he will answer. So I just knocked on a piece of wood like this, and the phone rang immediately. And nobody calls me because I'm like a nobody, and nobody even knows who I am. And it was my sister, and she said, she didn't even give me hello, this is your, I think she said, this is your sister, and I just want to tell you now that God just told me that now is your time to devote your entire life to His service. Thank you, have a good day. Click. What? But intuitively I knew that was the answer. The other, the concept of God really didn't really enter my mind so much before all that, other than what you're raised with as in the Christian tradition, which my parents didn't push on me, which if you think about this Christian tradition, no offense, when you grow up and you do something wrong in your household, do your parents kill you for it? This concept of if you make a mistake, you got to die. And they decide not to punish you. They take your brother who didn't do anything wrong and kill him. And now you're good. You're good to go. That's really whacked out. And not to mention the concept of going to hell forever. I remember when I was 5 years old, they said that in church. My parents took me to church maybe a dozen times. I heard that and I thought, I know this is nonsense. At least that part of it is. At least some of it's contaminated big time. How can God send somebody to hell forever? I mean, that's like the most cruel being in the universe. A controller that punishes you forever. No, you can't get unpunished. So anyways, enough of that. So then what happened when so then the concept of God, now somehow I knew intuitively that serving Krishna, God, I didn't know Krishna's God. But then the Sunday feast at the Hare Krishna temple was that night, and they doubled my rent at the Sikh ashram. So I went over there in great distress, and took, of course, a huge amount of prasadam, and stock up in calories for a couple days at least. And they said, well, you're always coming around here, why don't you just move in? So that's basically the process of going from, karma to jnana, to realizing jnana doesn't work. Now purification on some levels of giving up the fruits of one's labor. And it also states in here, if you can't render service, then the concept of thinking that you're God is actually, a step. It's the last snare of Maya. It's not like it's 50 billion steps before the last snare. It's the last snare. So that was the Siddha Yoga thing. And then going into the concept of actually concepts of God, and then maxing that out to trying to be good, to pure goodness, which, not that I'm purely situated in unalloyed goodness, that's Prabhupada, but the philosophical background and the right action of engaging only in unalloyed goodness activities. Maybe not totally purely doing that yet, but at least full-time engaging in that, being the ultimate good. So that's the progression. So as we pick apart this this text and purport a little bit here, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. So if you just try to stop, like I try to, just stop action, it's okay, simple. You see people try this out. Okay, no problem. I'll just take this mind and just put it over there and not have to deal with it anymore. It doesn't work. You can't separate yourself like that. Not on the level of without purification. It's just not possible. It's like taking sannyas without getting into purification. And adding to the story a little bit, I joined full-time engaged in Krishna service in ISKCON, and without reading any of the literature, I had my own ideas, and I kind of got bounced out of the temple in a weird way somehow, and was homeless trying to apply the teachings that I've learned, kind of like taking sannyas without going through 20 years in ISKCON properly. And that completely didn't work. In fact, I was a disturbance in society. I remember trying to distribute, they wouldn't give me any books, but they gave me, so I started distributing Bibles, and I had a guy chase after me full speed with a knife, really wanted to kill me. I had a gun to my head once. I'm sleeping in dumpsters because it's so cold at night in the desert in Phoenix, and the dumpster truck's going to come any minute, and you don't get any sleep, and it was just a crazy time, and it wasn't practical. And I was a disturbance, I need food, somebody please give me, didn't have the training. So, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So purport, the renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of prescribed duties, which are laid down just to purify hearts of materialistic men. I once asked my guru, my dad's getting a little old, should I tell him to take sannyas? But he has no training in Krishna consciousness. And he said, no, that stage is just for people in-house, ISKCON, people who are applying themselves in ISKCON. It's definitely not for people outside, because what will they do? Can you imagine if every 70-year-old or 60-year-old person out there took sannyas and was on the street? What would they don't even know what to say. It would just be a complete crazy experience in the world. So there has to be training there. Prabhupada says, before he took sannyas, he's got a wife and kids. He went through the stages. Not that you have to take grihasta, but he said he got training. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyas. According to the empiric philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayan. And this is the Mayavadi conception. We see Lord Chaitanya, I believe he was in Vrindavan, and the people were saying, Krishna's come back to Vrindavan. If you go to the lake, you'll see Krishna's dancing on Kaliya. And of course, it was just a fisherman catching the fish, and with a lamp there he had in the middle of the night. So it looked like that. So people were confused about that. And so Lord Chaitanya asked some person walking by that looked a little intelligent and said, what's going on here? Oh, people are imagining that Krishna is here, but I am seeing you, and you are Krishna, you are Narayan. And it's like, how so? It's like, well, you're a sannyasi, so therefore you're Narayan. No. And Lord Chaitanya, Vishnu. No, Jiva soul can never become Narayan. It's not possible. So this is a whole nother philosophically, messed up program, Mayavad philosophy. It doesn't add up philosophically. Neither does, the cheating religions philosophy. Neither does the Buddhist structure. And so religion without philosophy is sentiment, or sometimes fanaticism. And religion without philosophy or philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So, and we can assess all this from the character. Prabhupada mentions that what kind of character is behind these philosophers, and he said that you will find them worse than an ordinary man, the character. So this is like the proof of, is it working? How renounced are you? How yeah, how free are you from the snares of this material dimension? So, what is the character? Prabhupada describes this one person that when he came to America, one of his early students went to see him, and he said he was smoking, sannyasi smoking. And when his student, Prabhupada's student, said, "We don't smoke," he got ashamed. So we see the character. What is the character? And we see in ISKCON the character. And we see it within our own life, the change of character. I mean, I'm going to pick on another kirtan people here. I mean, if you took if you want to have everybody join ISKCON on the planet, you just put a before and after picture, and what his activities were and what his activities are now on a billboard, and I don't know how many people would join. It's a night and day complete difference, and you can see. I mean, you live with somebody for a while. It's not a show. It's actually a transformation is really taking place. It's sincere. And the sincerity has to be there. If everyone wants just to make a show, it simply won't last. So, according to empiric philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activity, one at once becomes as good as Narayan. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. I'm sure everybody that's been walking around Vrindavan, at least the way Prabhupada describes it, is you get a lot of that. I saw the end of a cigarette, when they so-called finished smoking it, in the Brahmachari ashram, not the Brahmachari ashram, but somewhere in that building on the ground. It's there. It exists. No offense to anybody, but it's important that we apply ourselves appropriately if we want real success. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. So, all these structures within the Vedas, it gives so much room for wherever you're at. Puranas gives you wherever you're at. It gives you a gradual advancement process, ultimately leading to pure devotional service to Krishna. And without that, without yoga, Prabhupada says yoga means bhakti-yoga. Without yoga there is no yoga, there is no connecting. It's as simple as that. We have nice verses throughout Prabhupada's books. I think it's 1.5.17. Whatever, if one forsakes one's material occupation and engages in devotional service to the Lord, he may fall sometimes down in an immature stage, but there's no danger of his being unsuccessful, right? But on the other hand, one who's fully engaged in his own material occupational duties does not gain anything. So we see in so many other ones, 5.5.5, if one does not inquire into the spiritual values of life, one will be unsuccessful. One will be defeated. Even if he'll be defeated, he'll be experiencing also the miseries that accrue from ignorance. So here we get the reactions. He'll experience the reactions of his actions. Even if he takes sannyas, or one cannot attain perfection alone simply by adopting brahmacharya, grihastha, following all the rules and regulations properly, leaving home to the forest, accepting sannyas, or being submerged in water in freezing winter and surrounding yourself with fires in the summer, scorching heat of the sun. So many ways to try to understand the truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. So this is the process. As long as one's mind is engaged in some sort of fruitive activity, his mind is called karmatmikam, colored by fruitive activity. And as long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear. If one is absorbed in fruit of action, he has to accept a material body. So these statements are throughout so that we can gain an understanding that you can only, why is it repeated 3 times? Nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva. And there's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. It's not through jnana, yoga, karma. It's not possible. Only through bhakti, only chanting the holy name can you attain success. That's the permanent solution. And I had it right with my intuition to what do I really want? I do want to fall in love, and that person, I didn't know if it was going to be a girl or what, but it turns out it was a boy. I'm falling in love with a man, or boy, or whatever. He's blue, and blue skin color, or whatever color we call that skin. So, that's our real love, and that is the permanent solution to the problems of misery's life. Prabhupada says that's the only thing that will really solve the problem fully, is attaining Krishna prema. So that was a little scattered about explanation of everything, and they could talk on and on and on, mention some more shlokas, those are fun. And I'll end with this, and then open it for questions. Whatever you may be able to do in the cause is accepted by the Lord. bhakti-yoga. Even a slight performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulties, right? Nahamakramanashastis, what is it? Nahamakramanashasti, 240 of Bhagavad-Gita. Swapamavyasya dharmasya traitema tobayat. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution. A little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. If one is now engaged in Krishna conscious activities, Prabhupada says, then we know at least if you don't finish your up in one lifetime, you will be given another human body. That's, there's exceptions to the rule, but that is there, Prabhupada writes. So at least we don't have to have the great fear of going down lower species. Of course, if you do something wrong in Vrindavan, we have a different scenario, unique situation there. Or if you're super advanced, like Bharat Maharaj, you can have a unique situation as well. But generally, that's the situation. So the greatest fear is going down to lower species of life. So it's all an auspicious experience. And we should remember, maybe I wasn't ready for it, but I think, what would have happened if when I was 16, trying to figure things out, if some devotee came up to me and went, hey, here's some nice halava. When I was on top of the mountain reading Suzuki Zen Master's books, trying to figure it out, if some Prabhupada, Prabhupada Anuga came up to me and said, hey, check out, here's some halava, and check out this book, and tried to explain some things to me. I mean, maybe I just wasn't ready for it, but maybe I would have saved myself 16 years of severe suffering. So we should have the inclination to share this knowledge with others, to expedite people's process back home to Godhead, make it easier for them, open up that road back home to Godhead more clearly, so more people can walk on it. It's like you're building some sort of, like you start this farm, and there's this horrible road to get there, and Dasarath had a bulldozer clear a path through the national forest to the farm, and it was an endeavor. I had to clear the trees, so many things, so that the national forest people won't see what we did, and so many things like that. So, but it was an endeavor, but it was for the purpose so other people can get closer, more quickly and easily to Krishna. So, book distribution is the most important activity. Should be taken up. All of our activities in this Krishna consciousness society lead to this one end of book distribution. Why? Just sharing this knowledge with others. It's a Brihad Mridanga. So, this way, the world can be informed, educated. I got my degree in education, Other people that got their degree in education, they started their own school or this or that. And I was thinking back then, before I joined Krishna consciousness, wow, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. But no, I had some hunch that if I just continue to try to figure things out and then establish something or try to do something with having knowledge, what a progress. But 16 years spent without knowledge. I mean, if we can make it more easily available, save people from so much suffering. And how many people went their whole life without knowledge? Almost everybody in the West. In India it's a little different. It's a big difference. So sharing the knowledge. In this way we make rapid advancement. Prabhupada said, you know, every Krishna book you distribute, take one home back to Godhead. One step back home to Godhead. So, yeah. So the nice thing about bhakti yoga is the activity isn't just for us. All the activities is for advancing the world in Krishna consciousness. So the Prahlad, or what's that associate of Lord Chaitanya that wanted all the sins taken on his Vasudeva. You know, this kind of compassion that these great souls have is already included within this picture. And so helping the world and being in such a pure state of goodness is already included. And thus one gets free from these lower modes. Raja, what's 1:2:19? Tada rajas tamo bhava. Yeah. Shtitim shtitam aragachate. Anyways, it goes as soon as irrevocable service to Krishna is established within the heart, the nature's effects of passion and ignorance, such as lust, hankering, desire, disappear from the heart of the devotee, and he becomes situated in goodness and becomes completely happy. And the next one, evam prashanna manaso bhakti-yoga prajyojita bhakti-yoga karmanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus being situated in unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by devotional service to the Supreme Lord gains positive scientific knowledge, the personality of Godhead, in the stage of liberation beyond material association. So this unalloyed goodness and the result of engaging in it is the permanent solution. I'll stop there. Thank you for saving me, Ananda Kirtan. How may I serve you?
I was just wondering if you can explain why some people question what life is about, like using your example. And I also felt that same way as a teenager. But, my understanding is that in most cases it's due to previous spiritual plan from previous lifetimes. But I was thinking, also Krishna says that if you perform spiritual activities, then you take birth in like a nice situation where it can help you progress in your spiritual life. But why would someone like me inquire what the meaning to life is and take that seriously when, first of all, I wasn't born in an aristocratic family or a medical family. I wasn't very pious. And other people around me seemed to be as pious as I was, in the sense that they were trying to be nice people and good people, but they didn't really inquire what the absolute truth is and take it very seriously. So why would somebody like me or you or someone else take it seriously who's not born in an aristocratic family?
Well, not to I got your question, but just to be clear and not to get puffed up about this because it's totally nonsense, but I was born in a situation where I could really inquire into the absolute truth. myself. I was a lot of land we had, and my parents didn't push anything on me. I didn't have to do anything. College education paid for. I got you correct. But for me, I could inquire into the absolute truth and spend a lot of time figuring things out. So that was me, and I was encouraged with the basic principles for that. Living a very simple life was encouraged, and things of this nature. So it's a conducive environment for me to inquire into the absolute truth. But using your situation, middle of LA, my God, and you mentioned your parents' background a little bit. Maybe they weren't exactly sitting at the dinner table and inquiring about things together as a family. And friends might not have been so pious. So, and how did you take to it? Well, we see so many devotees, there were drug dealers, there were so many things. They took to Krishna consciousness in a radical situation. I don't think there's any hard and fast rules. There's general rules, but it's not hard and fast. Like, for example, I know one guru described this story of a devotee. He was sitting with his buddies drinking beer in the cornfields, and Krishna came down. And nobody else could see him except for him. And he's totally blown away. He's half drunk. And Krishna just said, hey, my name's Krishna, you should check me out. And then split. So he goes to the library and looks up Krishna and gets the Krishna book and read it and then moved and joined the temple. So Krishna just causes mercy. Who knows how many, maybe you had God knows how many previous lifetimes of a lot of punya, and in this life you messed up a lot, but still you had all that in there. And why weren't you born in a good situation for further development? Maybe that's your karmas work that way or whatever. I mean, it's general themes. I'm not saying there has to be hard and fast rules, because we see so many exceptions to the matter. So, I mean, that's probably as best as I can do if anybody wants to extrapolate on that. Yes? Is that okay, though? I don't know where else to go with that one. Yes, please.
I was just wondering, as a particular whole experience, many times devotees, at least I can say for myself, I also went through so many things before coming to Krishna consciousness. So I was thinking, what is the healthy way of looking at those experiences before devotional service? Like some devotees choose to see them as some dots to be joined as a picture, or some arrangement of Krishna that we went through those things and learn some lessons from them so that we can use them in devotional service. On the other hand, some devotees say that that's all useless, let's throw that out of the window and let's start fresh in devotional service. So I was just thinking what would be more healthy for a devotee. Like, the second approach looks like more like not this, and this.
Yeah. Well, I think we make that abrupt shift to a little fanatical approach to Krishna consciousness. I mean, I've done some of that, and it may be necessary because the past was really bad, you don't want to look at it, or whatever. It may be necessary. And of course, we shouldn't lament about the past, or imagine the future, whatever, what is Bhakti-yoga, that phrase, and we should use this time to engage in devotional service now. Yes, that's all there, and that's the basic principle. But as I'm finding here in Vrindavan, and have gotten temporarily out of my really wild life we have of distributing just so many books and being this wild experience without practically any time for contemplation. But here being in Vrindavan, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, and these things from the childhood or wherever are arising, and it's like pieces of the puzzle, it feels like, coming back together, and I feel like more of a person, more of a functioning, wholesome person now, because of putting all this back together nicely. And sometimes it's painful. Oh my God, I did that. Oh Jesus. Oh Krishna. Sorry. Whatever. And then purifying that to arrange it so that it's healthy. Again, make it all, use everything as fuel. That's, I think, the fuel to advance you further in Krishna consciousness. And we just think and look at that. You know, it's like, it's the other side of attachment. You know, it's not detachment. It's kind of like a Christian who's been realized that it's a cheating religion, then turning into an atheist. You know, it's the same coin. It's just a different side. We need a different thing here. So, but it might be necessary. I definitely went through, and maybe still do, certain things I can't participate with in my thinking because I'm not ready for that yet. So that's fine. So use everything as fuel. But at some point, I think you gotta just embrace it all and have it regurgitated out in a pure Krishna conscious way. That's basically the complete picture. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, please.
In the past times you were speaking about yourself. So these things happen to most of them. It's that. But you see that whatever the past times we are having in our life, we have gone through. Now, how that the changes have come. You have to see what is the thing that will change you into the situation. You have to see that what made you change. Everyone is having different pastimes in a similar way. But what is that attracted you in Krishna consciousness?
What attracted me to Krishna consciousness with all those experiences? Well, we're not supposed to, I've been told by a couple, one guru at least, that I'm not supposed to share my realizations. But I had realizations as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, that were like pieces of the puzzle. Krishna gradually revealing himself and making known the path, and so encouraging me on the path or whatever. So all I can say is I think it all needs to be embraced, but in summary, it all fits within the teachings that gradually there was purification there. Subtle things like the Buddhist structure that I was given. I started to chant Om, and I became a vegetarian, and I started to live a very much more like a monastic lifestyle, things of this nature that helped, for example. So it wasn't maybe necessarily one thing, but certainly I can say this, that those few individuals, Dasarath, Prabhu, Mother Sundami, and so forth, who worked so beyond hard to establish the Krishna Conscious Center in Tucson, Arizona, where I grew up, me coming in contact with that was definitely a turning point in my life as far as having a avenue to rapidly advance in Krishna consciousness. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, and certainly, of course, Prabhupada's books. Anybody that actually gets to the point where they take time to read Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada said anybody reading, Krishna book and a few other ones is certain to become a Krishna conscious person. So if we can get to the point where we actually read Prabhupada's books, there's no turning back. You're finishing up. You know what's up. From knowing what's up, you can make proper decisions in your life. Maybe not always you make those proper decisions, but at least you know what's going on. Everything's in Prabhupada's books. I should say, you can make proper decisions, but you might not choose always to make proper decisions. But, yeah. Because so many people have read the books and have left. So, trying to make those statements so that accommodates that situation. Did that answer your question though? No?
Yes, but you see, when you are you joined as a yoga, you said as a yoga, you first went into the yoga. So when you are in the yoga, your mind was not concentrating on those things. How then mind connected to different parts?
Well, it was all like stepping stones. You know, like in the city yoga, which they don't do exercise yoga, they meditate on, it's all about super soul. And so we chant different names of God, and it's a meditation on the super soul. So, you know, from gross, you know, materialistic thinking to jnana, and to trying to just figure things out, to, you know, maybe some Brahman realization experiences, then to now Paramatma realization, now to God realization, now to pure God realization. Gradually that progression was there, was just natural progression. Yeah. Is that okay? How did I make that progression? All I can think of is Krishna working with me as best as he could to help me get to the goal, still is, and doing the best he can with my self-imposed restrictions that I put upon myself and where I was at. Okay. Any other comments or questions? But the character, Prabhupada would emphasize the character. I read heard a lecture from Prabhupada describing the 3:1 through 5 by Srila Prabhupada, these verses. And he's emphasizing the character development. What is the character? You know, we can see that the members within ISKCON that are sincerely applying do have character development. And he also emphasized the concept of sincerity. Sincerity, what does that mean? You know, to be sincere. Well, it definitely means not pretending, not being deceitful. And Prabhupada makes the comment, if we are sincere, we will get the proper result with knowledge. And if we want to make a show, that's another thing, as he says. We will get that result. We won't last. It will take sannyas for a day or for a week or a year, and then we'll split. But we have to get this higher taste. Without the higher taste, forget it. It's not going to happen. As he says, you know, you pour milk into the water glass, the water's going to come out. So as we advance in Krishna consciousness, you know, automatically our attraction for Maya is decreased. So it just makes most intelligent sense to fully engage in Krishna conscious activities, whether we like it or not. You know, no matter how diseased we are, we just do that, and we get the result. That water, that Maya, goes away, and we get the higher taste. Simple as that. All right, we have 1 minute left. Any other comments or questions? Shidvalasananda Swami.
What is the name he gave you?
I didn't get a name, but I had an incredible experience. Oh my God. They're powerful people. It's like, anyway, Prabhupada said regarding, you know, going to Kumbh Mela, you know, don't make fun of these yogis or something like that, because they're powerful people. Really powerful. Anyway, yeah. All right. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanandi Hari Hari. Oops, Hari Hari. Hare Krishna.